So firstly, we saw Carter Gordon out there. What was the thinking behind getting him straight back into the squad once he rejoined rugby?
I think there was no point to delay it in the context that Tom Lyon is still recovering from that hamstring injury, and we thought that he might recover in time for the Eden Park test, let alone the Optus test. So that's been an ongoing thing for Tom, and frustrating as it was, it just allowed us to bring him in because we'd already by the time he signed, we'd already made the decision that Ben Donaldson was going north, and we could still pick him up in Japan if needs be. So it just felt like the right time to get him in and kind of recalibrate him a little bit. It's given us a chance to have a few conversations with him, for him to match up with a couple of the players and get an idea of how we try to shape our game.
He obviously had a bit of bad luck with injury in the NRL. Are you confident he's ready for Test rugby if you're to throw him in?
Yeah, he's played a couple of games, in the Queensland Cup and that one game for the Titans. So I think he's, what struck me about him when he was playing for the Rebels, he's certainly brave enough. He's not going to hold back, and he's going to throw himself straight in there. So I didn't see any hesitation today whatsoever, albeit not on a full contact day at all.
Joe, with only 2 10s, I guess, in the squad, are we likely to see Carter used against Japan, just by nature if you don't have many?
Yeah, we have Ben Donaldson up there, as I said, and Hamish Stewart, who we've used a couple of times to cover 10, but Carter being the 10 in the squad, there's a pretty good chance that he may be involved. And then when we get north, James O'Connor is still up there, so if we got short at 10, we feel like we've got good cover, because James did a great job for us at short notice, sort of being whistled in for the Lions and backing us up there, and then playing a bit of a lead role in some of the TRC games.
Where are you at with your thinking about the number 10 position? Because you obviously got Tane, who kind of wasn't in the picture at the start of the year, and Carter coming in now. Ben's on the Australia tour. Like, where are you at with that? Are you still undecided as to who the best 10 is?
More open-minded than undecided, Peter. I think we're staying open-minded about a number of positions, and we do feel like this is the window where we can take a bit of a longer vision versus a short-term focus. As much as we need to get those ranking points and be as competitive as we can be, if we don't invest now, we're not going to profit in 2 years' time, when that Home World Cup is still a massive opportunity for us to really demonstrate what we can do in the game here in Australia. And I feel like sometimes you don't maybe get the scoreboard result, but we certainly got really competitive games across all 6 TRC games. We were right in every game coming to the last quarter, and last year, we got copped some big scores against us in 3 of the games. We were really out of the game, and copped one big score against the All Blacks, where there were no really big scores, and no games where people would have said with 10 to go, the game's done, because none of them were.
Joe, can I just ask about those overseas players? There's none named in the official squad, but at what stage can you call them in? And I guess, in particularly that England game, when you have a couple of Prem players like Tom Hooper, Randy Katau, James O'Connor, are they available for that, or is that still sort of a complicated issue?
Yeah, that would be complicated because the Reg 9 window doesn't start until the following week when we play Italy. So for that England game, we didn't use any overseas-based players last year against England and toughed it out. And I do feel like the players who are based in Australia and playing well in Australia deserve the opportunity to keep their noses in front of guys who have chosen to go offshore, and that is still our bias. However, if we get shorter players up there, or someone's playing outstandingly well and we feel that add value, then that's an option for us.
Just on that 10 situation, Ben Donaldson is going to start tomorrow for Australia against Japan. What do you need to see from him in terms of just his performance to make sure that he's a consistent member of that squad heading forward?
Yeah, again, Ben and I have had that discussion, and so the discussions that are ongoing, and Ben's got a really clear idea of what we're looking for. So hopefully you and we see that on Saturday, and he'll run the game well. He's got a long kicking game. He's got a good passing game. He's very good taking the ball to the line and playing in front of the opposition. It's more around his ability to control the defensive line, particularly from the deep where he tends to play, and then being able to be involved in that defensive side of the game just as much as the attacking side.
And after the second blow, so you said you wanted the players to go away, rest, recuperate. Now, I know it's only been sort of 24 to 48 hours, but do you notice that sort of sharpness, that sort of freshness about the team now you've had a bit of a break?
The thing I noticed is when they came in yesterday evening, the amount of genuine enjoyment they get in each other's company. They are a very tight-knit group, and I think that's even demonstrated on the field. They look after each other on the field, and off the field they enjoy their time together. So I think they are rejuvenated, but they're reinvigorated as well by being back together and enjoying each other's company. So, we've got 40-odd days now where we're going to be working really hard to try to make sure that we get some profit from those connections they have and what they then deliver on the field.
Joe, it all begins in 8 days' time against Japan. Do you get the feeling at all that these guys have a feeling to get one up against Eddie Jones?
I haven't heard it said amongst the players. So it was before my time. I started kind of 18 months ago, and in that 18 months, none of the discussion has really been about what went previously. We've just tried to effectively plan a good week, build a good week, deliver a good performance, because that's all you get in Test footy, really. A day like today is a luxury. It's outside a Test preparation week, but then we lose a day travelling up, and so I think getting to invest today and tomorrow a little bit, that will be an investment in their performance more than anything that they might be wanting to prove to another person.
Joe, you touched on the ranking situation. How conscious are you of getting some big results on this tour? Because obviously it's a huge, situation trying to get a top 6 seeding for the World Cup.
Yeah, certainly in the back of my mind.
Have you crunched the numbers?
Yeah, I'll crunch a few numbers. Who can work out that algorithm? I mean, it's just a tough algorithm to work out. All I know is that if you're playing away from home and you beat a team that's ranked ahead of you, that's a good way to improve your ranking. That said, we're playing two teams that are ranked below us, and that's a good way to lose ranking points. So we've got to be good against Japan in 8 days' time, and we've got to be good against Italy because they are very good. I see they've just added a couple of big boys to their squad, and I think they're incredibly combative. There was they won a half against South Africa where they almost outmuscled them. They're very physical. Outside of that, there's three very big teams to come up against that will offer real challenges. All five will offer real challenges, but I mean challenges to try to get ranking points.
So you've
Last
got
couple
5
of
tests in 5 weeks. That's a big ask, and you probably have to use the squad. This next week present is the one where you might lean on players that aren't necessarily always in the Test 15.
Well, I think next week is an opportunity for a few guys who've clocked up some pretty big miles just to be able to keep breathing and to build their way into... I don't see anyone playing 5 tests in 5 weeks. Not after having played 3 Lions tests, 6 TRC. We're talking about the best teams in the world in terms of the Lions, a compilation of the best of the 4 nations, and then on top of that, the best of the TRC, 2 of the top 3 ranked teams in the world, and the one ranked directly above us. So for us, we're going to have to use the squad. We're going to have to mix and match a little bit, and that's going to be part of a challenge for the squad, that we're trying to use these 2 days to kind of shuffle a few guys around and build some maybe alternative combinations to what we've got used to. I mean, one obvious one is that Lenny Ikato and joseph-aukuso have been very consistent in the midfield, and so just trialling a few midfield combinations will probably form part of it.
Just,
Last one, please.
Last year's spring tour obviously was a bit of a launch pad with some of the results and the performances and the confidence into this year. Do you hope that this tour can do the same thing again for next year and I guess the year before?
Yeah, I honestly think since that time, and I know we didn't get the result in Scotland, which was disappointing. That the performance wasn't so much disappointing against Ireland. They were ranked 2 in the world, and they got the lead with 8 minutes to go and beat us by 3 points. And we had a few opportunities. Probably went into our shell a bit in the second half, so that was frustrating. And we tried to build from there. I think we've kept building. Nothing's linear, and there are lapses. But if we can keep building, I do think we will have ourselves in a pretty good position by the end of the tour. The one thing that does worry me is a bit of fatigue at the end of the tour. I saw it a little bit last year, as much as the players were still very keen to represent the Wallabies. That's an inevitable kind of human physical failing, I suppose, that after a while you do get fatigued, particularly with the high octane way that we try to play the game. So that's why we're going to need the squad, and that's why there may be a little bit of shuffling on the way through. But I agree with you. It was part of the start of a different footprint for Australian rugby, I felt, particularly with the interest that it sparked at home, and we want to create a little bit more of a spark and build a bit of a fire that can resource the team when they get back. Particularly over the next couple of years leading into that World Cup.
Thanks, guys.